All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I'm Jake Dunlap. Many of you might know me from my book, Innovative Seller. Maybe you follow my company, Scale Consulting, where we're helping organizations optimize revenue performance. Maybe you've checked out some of the AI things I'm working on with Journey, or maybe you like my friend Kevin Dorsey and you've checked out our AI-powered seller podcast. Either way, thank you so much for joining the channel. If you are somebody who is into sales, modern ways to generate revenue, marketing, or even just anything around scaling your business, this is the place, okay? Whether it's strategic advice about new go-to-market strategies, whether it's more tactical technology trends on what tech am I seeing in the market. I do hundreds of new sales technology demos every year. Or if you're trying to stay up to speed on modern sales best practices, I cover all of that here. All right, my friends, make sure to subscribe to the channel now so you get instant updates on all my new videos, all my new shorts, and everything that you need to know about revenue today. Welcome, my friends, episode number 16. All right, we're into the new year, 2025. Man, 2026 will be here before we know it. I felt like 2025 just like flew by. And I'm excited, man. 2025 is going to be a great year. There's going to be a lot of things changing. ChatGPT will turn 3 years old. God knows I'll be talking about that. But today's episode is I'm going to talk about the things that if you don't do these things, you're going to be in for a rough next 11 months. And I'm going to talk about things like buyers' personas. As we think about where sales is headed and where sales is going, the ability for you to connect as a human to another buyer is going to be critical. So in today's episode, we're diving into the new reality where does AI know your buyer better than you do, okay? Generic outreach is dead, okay? And sticking to old, outdated buyer models like, oh, you have to go through our process and get qualified, they're all dead, okay? And if you're relying on, executing a process, not paying attention to what buyers have to say, you're not being specific, you're gonna fall behind, right? You're not gonna be able to stay competitive. You're not gonna be able to, have buyers want to interact with you because I gotta be honest, AI can do a better job in a lot of cases, okay? And in this episode, I'm going to break down why buyer personas are no longer optional. We'll explore how AI-driven insights are reshaping the sales landscape and how failing to adapt could cost you 30% or more of your deals. And definitely this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about this new generation of buyers, my millennials, Gen Zs, who demand hyper-personalized interactions. I talked about that a little bit in the episode, but I'm going to talk about how you need to communicate to them specifically. So if you're tired of getting ghosted, if you're tired of emails not getting answered, deals getting stalled, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we're going to help you always. But this episode specifically is for you. By the end, you're going to have actionable steps to realign your sales strategy, build more modern buyer personas, and help you compete and win more deals. And yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. So I'm going to talk as usual, 2 sales trends, maybe 3 sometimes, 2 tech trends, maybe 3 sometimes. And then we'll talk a little bit of in the news, maybe some Q&A at the end. Who knows? We always do a little Q&A. So stick around, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into some of my top sales trends for 2025. All right, sales trends, my friends. Trend number 1. I teased this in the opener. Does AI know your buyer better than you? AI won't just be helping you sell. It could potentially be outsmarting sellers, okay, who fail to adapt, right? I want to be very clear, okay? The ones that don't embrace certain things, that don't care about their buyer, right? So I want you to picture this, right? Buyers are being bombarded with outreach from all sides, right? They're not just expecting you to know their business. They expect you. They expect it for you to understand their goals, their pain point, and challenges, right? Especially around their persona before you even make contact. If you don't know those things, how can you help them? Right? And I'm telling you right now, AI tools are already stepping in and stepping up to this task. Okay. They're collecting all this information, analyzing it, and they're driving really hyper-personalized experiences that feel tailored to every single individual. Right? So if your outreach is generic, you got like insert company name, insert industry, right? And you're guessing at pain points, my friends, the AI savvy competition is coming for you, right? Because AI doesn't just guess, right? It predicts, it analyzes, and it anticipates, right? It sifts through all like the little nuances that you and I might miss, right? It can track purchase patterns. It can look at real-time intent signals, right? And offer a far more precise experience at times than your average sales team that might not be paying attention to those things, right? So if you're not tapping into advanced AI tools like Gong, 6sense, ZoomInfo, my friends at Outreach, Sales Loft, to build, more detailed and accurate personas, right? You're already falling behind, right? And I can tell you right now, buyers are noticing, right? I'm telling you, I talk to so many people, senior level executives that buy things. They're like, Jake, it is remarkable how little these people know. And I don't know, I would much rather interact with a chatbot, right? Because I can then just go at my own speed. I don't have to repeat myself 85 times, right? Because they're aware of this stuff. Right? And most of them are just like, please let me just slog through the process, and they're disengaged, right? And they're leaving the experience, feeling not heard and not listened to. So here's my tactical takeaway for you, all right? It's time to start using these AI tools to refine your messaging and your outreach strategy. Don't just rely on surface level data. You have to deep dive into customer conversations, intent signals, behavior patterns, right? To understand exactly what buyers care about most. And you can do this, my friends. Go look at your data. Go look at what your last deal, your last 2 deals, look at what they interacted with. So again, what objections keep coming up, right? Analyze that. There's tools that will help you to do that, right? What were the consistent things that you've said that got people talking more? Tools can do that, right? What's the messaging that resonated, that got me that meeting? Tools can do that for you, right? So my friends, AI is actually your edge, but only if you're actively using it to make smarter, more informed, customized decisions, right? The future of sales is here, my friends, but you have to start to realize that if you aren't personalizing, AI is probably going to out-personalize you. And I hate to say that, but it's true because I get a chance to see a lot of pitches, all right? Tell me what you think about that, right? If you like what you heard, subscribe. Or maybe if you don't like what you heard, drop a comment too. Or if you agree, or maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've seen the salespeople are struggling to, connect the same way or personalize the same way. And, maybe you're sick of it like I am. So make sure to leave a comment and subscribe. All right, my friends, trend number 2 is, are old buyer models costing you deals? And what do I mean by old buyer models? Okay, let's talk about the outdated approach to buyer personas. Okay, for years, sales team have built personas around job titles, the VP of sales, the director of marketing, and stop there. But here's the issue. Okay, I teased this in the beginning. A VP of sales in 2025 is not the same person as a VP of sales in 2015. Their preferences have evolved, their buying processes have changed, right? And their expectations are increasingly shaped by their generation. I got to tell you, I do not know, and we see hundreds of buyer personas. I do not think I have seen one buyer persona where they're thinking about this. This should be a wake-up call for a lot of you, right? You're not accounting for if someone is Gen Z, millennial, Gen X, baby boomer. And again, this isn't about generational stereotypes. It's really just about leaning into different modalities of how people might prefer to communicate, right? For example, a millennial VP might prefer a little bit more detailed, data-driven ROI, things that break down the use cases up front, white papers. Gen Z, they might, concise, bite-size, mobile, something I can skim through, look at my phone between meetings, etc. Again, it's not just about generational preferences, right? It's about meeting people where they're at. Last week's episode, I talked about that, right? AI personalized journeys, those types of things, right? Buyers today are navigating, very complex roles. They've got more decisions to make, more committees, etc. Right? So if your personas today aren't capturing this kind of role-based challenges and individual preferences that come, from a generation, then you're definitely leaving money on the table and losing out on key opportunities. So my tactical takeaway on this one, okay, is it's time to overhaul your personas with 2 layers. Role-based insights and generational preferences, okay? This means going beyond job titles and asking and thinking how does this buyer want to engage? And by the way, again, I'm going to preface this. I've said it, this will be 3 times now. I'm not being generationalist, okay? I'm not saying every Gen Z wants this, every millennial wants this. What I'm saying is different people want different modes. So there could be a baby boomer who also wants bite-sized content to go through different meetings. But it's, again, how does this person want to resonate? So if I've got a buyer persona, I might have 3 slashes at it of quick and easy, this, detail. So again, I want you to think about updating your personas to reflect the full scope of how your buyers might want to consume information and what they might care about. Okay, that's how you stay ahead of the curve and consistently meet your buyers' ever-evolving needs. All right, those are my sales trends, everybody. I think it's exciting, right? I think look, what we're talking about is meeting people where they're at, right? We're talking about the human part of this, where if we can't meet people where they're at, if we as humans cannot learn to communicate differently to different types of people, then again, AI is really good at that, okay? Or it's like mediocre at it. And that's where you as a person can level up, right? So I want y'all to think about that for a little bit. So let's get into tech trends, okay? So the week, I got a couple of tech trends for you so we can jump in to those. Let's jump into this concept, right? How do I continue to leverage AI to do some of this buyer persona work for me? And I think what a lot of you should do is definitely check out Journey.ai. It's meetjourney.ai. And their discovery call prep and annual report summarizer. These are table stakes for anyone harnessing AI to make sure that you show up prepared for a conversation, right? They provide a personalized, data-driven insights that can really help you to stay on top of, these big trends, right? And so let's talk about like discovery call prep. So, you have to think, how can technology, why this is a tech trend, technology can help you stop having to do all this crazy amount of research, because good prep means being able to not only speak to a company's, what they want to do, but also down specific to the role, their goals, their motivations. And AI can scan, different talking points that person might have had on a blog post. It can scan, trends for that persona in that industry. And so the goal here is not just to show up prepared, but to be able to ask, like, what are the right questions? You can ask you can ask Journey, hey, what would be the right questions for this? So go check out Journey.ai in particular. Their discovery call prep is great. And then also annual report summarizer. If you want to talk to executives, you need to be able to break down their quarterly earnings or their annual report. I'm going to tell you right now, I was trained on this when I was like 28, maybe something like that, 28, roughly. And it used to take me an hour and a half. I kid you not, I saw a testimonial. There's a guy who said, I can do in 20 minutes now what used to take me half a day. And so when I think about tech trends, it's like, hey, I want to connect with this CMO. Here's what they're about. Here's their LinkedIn profile. Here's their annual report. What are the top 3 things I should talk to them about? That's annual report summarizer. My friends, if you're not using technology to better connect with these personas, right, you are missing out on massive, massive opportunities. There you have it. Journey AI helping you to do a better job of connecting with your personas. Again, it's meetjourney.ai. We'll link to it in the comments. So next up, the next tech trend I want to talk about is how do we leverage technology to adapt? And what are some things that you can do to better interact? Two people, on paper might look the same. CFOs in the same company size, same industry, but they can be very different in terms of how they make decisions, their buying process. And I want to talk about some of the technologies that match up, to some of the things I talked about, maybe Gen Z wants a little of that. My millennials want something, a little bit of that. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is video. Okay. There's a tool called Vidyard. Shout out to my folks at Vidyard. Loom is another good tool. We use Vidyard. And from what I understand, Vidyard is actually coming out with some new AI that actually will allow you to like record one video of yourself, like da-da-da, and then you go and type like text, and then it can create auto like AI enabled videos too, which is pretty cool. But I like Vidyard because again, it allows me to send a customized video to prospects, and it can allow me to better engage and be like, oh hey, by the way, I'm looking forward to our meeting, and I think I gave this use case in last week's episode. Here's a couple of things, or maybe it's a video recap. Maybe it's a video of me doing a screen share and walking through a demo, right? But it can do all of those things. So I'm a big fan of video. It's definitely a preferred format, for a lot of folks out there, right? A lot of us just like want to look at video. I also like it because it can communicate. And again, whatever tool you use, that's fine. But anytime I've got a more complex thing, I don't send emails anymore. I send videos. I'm like, and if we can't, connect or asynchronously, then are live, then I'll just send a video. It works really, really well. So, you can use it to send, personalized videos, like based on something somebody said, tailor it, to their role, what you heard, etc. So, big fan of videos. The other thing I'll talk about here whenever we think about, adjusting to different personas is let's talk asynchronous demos. Because, let's be honest here. I sit through a lot of demos. Who wants to sit through another boring one-size-fits-all demo? I can tell you, not me. And I heard about this company a while ago. Again, I was like messing around in prep for this. Company's called Demo Desk. And here's the thing. You can do what I'm about to tell you to do on your own, but Demo Desk is doing something cool. It's a virtual meeting and demo platform that allows you to pre-record interactive product demos. It also includes like guided navigation and a few other things. And I really think, look, in today's busy world, prospects don't want to sit through that one-size-fits-all demo, right? Like, let me do the one-size-fits-all demo, get up to speed myself. And then when I get you on the phone, then you can do something more personalized for me. You can say, hey, Jake, I heard this. You can do this, right? And the tool, I know it has like interactive elements that allow them to focus on areas and pinch in. And so again, you can do a lot of this like asynchronous learning on your own, right? And for my friends out there, like if your company is cheap and you don't want to do it, that's no problem, okay? Like my tactical advice here is you can do this yourself, right? You can use a video like I just talked about when I talked about Vidyard, okay? And you can just say like, okay, cool. Like you can go use Loom. Loom's free for a lot of people. I can record, hey, what's up? You can send this video to your team. Hey, if you're a user, here are the 3 ways to use our platform, right? Hey, you're a manager. Hey, here's a quick video that talks about the impact that I'm going to have on your team. Hey, you're a CFO. Hey, what's going on? Let me just do a quick demo for you, Mrs. CFO, to then help you to understand how we are going to drive ROI for you. My tactical takeaway is like, even if you don't use, a cool tool like Demo Desk or something, you can do this stuff yourself. Again, the technology is there to help you to create a more personalized asynchronous experience. And I'm telling you, a lot of people want that as an option. So that, my friend, is tech trends. Tech trends. Maybe we'll come up with like a jingle there around that. So again, if you're trying to interact more with people or better with people, I want you to think about that. All right. So this week's in the news. We got some news here from our friends at HubSpot. Okay. And they talk about, how to create some of these detailed buyer personas. We'll link to some of the details from this report in the show notes here. And again, if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Hopefully you got a lot out of this as well. And I'll tell you why I think this is important is the research says, and this is crazy, I'm just checking this here, 96% of marketers believe personalized content helps build better relationships and drive more sales. And I got to tell you, how many marketers are actually putting out personalized content? Okay. And I'm telling you, if you're focused on the buyer personas and getting everyone aligned on these nuances, you can do this, right? So, for example, if you're targeting small businesses, or owners in tech, your buyer persona might highlight issues like outdated software, team management, and again, but a lot of this is about trends. What I feel like a lot of buyer personas are missing right now, and I think HubSpot actually, this report calls this out really well, is it's about industry trends, not just who is this person, what do they do, how do they want to consume content. It's also the triangulation about what's happening in their world. To me, buyer personas aren't just about this kind of static, kind of demographic of they do this job, their goals are this, etc. They're definitely for folks out there that you're trying to get more nuance. And the better that you can train your team on it, again, 96% said personalized content helps to build, better relationship and drive more deals. That's a big number to me. So if I'm, for me, if I'm taking this and making it tactical for any of you, is just make sure you're thinking about all those things. How does this person want to communicate? What are trends in their industry? What are typical goals for that individual, and how do all those triangulate? All right, so that is this week's in the news. All right, HubSpot, shout out. And so, yeah, today's episode, I hope you got a lot out of this one. I think, if anything, this is going to be maybe a little bit of a wake-up call. Like I said, we still have 11 months left. That's the good news, my friends. But I'm telling you right now, the same way I started this, I'm going to tell you at the end. If you do not start making some of these changes, you are going to be in trouble. If you continue to treat everybody the exact same way, you're going to be in trouble, okay? And so these trends and the ability to adapt your sales process to these personas and understand the nuances, leveraging technology, okay, to be able to better interact with people and to speed up and to eliminate your need to do research and, using custom GPTs and things like Meet Journey to get you to the next step, it's going to be tough to keep up with the people that are doing it. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Make sure, again, if you got value, like the video, please leave a comment, tag a friend, and definitely subscribe to the channel. And as usual, we'll wrap up today with some Q&A. And let's jump into it. So first question I have here is, how do we ensure our personas evolve with each stage? And what metrics or feedback Should we prioritize? I think a lot of this, it can be difficult. There's a lot of different personas. And again, I talked about it in the episode too, where, we've got a persona that looks the same, but yet this person wants to interact this way, and this person, again, and actually, I think I answered part of this in the Q&A from the last episode. To me, this is about the feedback loop. You need to make sure you have the feedback loop with enablement, and you're not just creating a bunch of like new content or in a silo. And so if you see a variation of the persona, give the feedback. So I think if I was sitting in your shoes, I would continue to make sure that I could have the right, kind of persona details at the right stage for the right type of person, and make sure I'm feeding that loop back to my team. I think that's probably what I would do. Next up, we've got, what are some examples of key questions that have had the most impact on driving successful sales conversations? For me, this one's simple, right? And the way that I ask this question is also very important. Never ask somebody, what are your priorities? That's too big of a question for an executive. You ask me, Jake, what are your priorities? I'm like, I don't know. I've got like 55,000 of them, okay? So instead say, hey, Jake, what are your top 1 to 2 priorities over the next 3 to 6 months? That allows my brain to quickly go and find the answer. Versus priorities, my brain's like, ugh, right? So, but if you say, Jake, what are the top 1 to 2 priorities over the next 3 to 6 months? I know what that is, and my brain can quickly go find it. So that's a good example of a question that I think is a killer one. Next question is around, how do you get better at tailoring your questions to different personas in a way that feels natural yet strategic? Ooh. There's a lot of different ways to take this. I'm going to take this a little more macro. And I actually hit on this on the last Q&A, which is, if I'm talking to an executive, okay, I don't get into the weeds on the feature questions, right? Oh, how are you doing admin features today? No, executives care about where the ball is headed. They care about the industry trends. They care about this. So an executive, I'm going to be asking kind of bigger questions to understand like where their head's at and what they're trying to align to. Mid-level managers, right? They care about questions that are more of like, how's this going to improve my department? So I'm making sure my questions are appropriate. They care less about the company performance. They care more about their department. So, hey, in your department, what are the top 2 priorities? And then last, on the frontline level, or maybe small team, they're going to care about, man, how's this going to like help me do my day-to-day better? So then I might get into the trenches and some of the features and how this is going to make their life easier. But the executive, they've got people for that. So I think for me, it's more about layering my question types by role. That is more critical. And by doing that, I mean, I've grown that skill set over time. I've been able to flex, up and down and close a lot of really big deals because of that. All right. So I talked a little bit about, using Google Gemini and other tools to pre-populate decks. And then, the question is more around, how do you make sure, whether it's that, or maybe it's even like your same static sales deck, how do you make sure it's not generic? Again, I think the key is with all these tools and even like your template, it is a lot of this is about making sure you did an hour, you blocked an hour or 2 hours to put this thing together, okay, or 30 minutes, I don't care. You still should take, 90% of that time, right? But just use these tools to get you to V1 in like 5 seconds. And then spend that time, the same amount of time, making it a V3, something that you never probably had the time to get to. So in any of these tools, I think we've got to throw out the idea that like it's going to 100% do the job for us, right? It's not going to do that for you. So instead, I think you need to focus on, hey, this is going to get me to here, and then I'm going to put my little magic touch on it, and that's going to get me to there. So that's how I think about, how to use kind of pre-populated and even like, building original content and things like that. So still invest the time. Just know you're going to have to put in some work and creativity to make it really good. All right, my friends, that's what I got for you. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of The Innovative Seller. You're here, you're watching the video maybe right now, or maybe you're listening in your car, you're listening to the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure to go check out YouTube. Right? The link's below. If you want to see the video, see my smiling face with a Capitol building behind me. I actually caught there's like birds flying back there at one point. And also make sure, again, if you haven't bought the book, make sure to buy the book. A lot of the things I talk about, the future of sales, are in the book. So make sure you buy the book and make sure to sign up. We've got an Innovative Seller newsletter as well that is 100% free. There's a lot of goodies. I think we've got some free workshops in there too. So if you haven't bought the book, make sure to buy the book. Thanks again for stopping by the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.